Hey everybody, welcome back to another live stream. I'm gonna make sure that I got everything up and running now because I got like the new camera. Might be able to hear myself here in a second. But welcome back. We're gonna go ahead and finish up the stream from last week. And let's see here. I got 3 seconds here. And I'm just gonna check my audio. And it looks like audio is working. I'm a little desaturated, I'm not gonna lie. Let's see. Actually, I might just go and fix that right now while we're sitting here. But how are you guys doing? Welcome back. It's a nice little Sunday live stream. There we go. Let's do that. Boom. And actually, I might as well also. No, let's not do that. That's fine. Cool. So yeah, there we go. Hey guys. But yeah, today's gonna be just finishing up the stream from last week. We started this Game of Thrones ice wall last week, and now we're gonna go ahead and be finishing it. So you know, we did a good amount of work. We did all of the modeling aspects of things, but we didn't really get too deep into like shading and stuff like that. So we're gonna go ahead and finish that up this week. You know, and just put our little spadazzle on it, do some lighting tricks, some lighting effects on it as well, and see where we can go with it. But yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right on in. This is what we've done so far inside of our 3D model. This is kind of the camera angle that we are going with here, and we're going to be, you know, making some more adjustments. I think we really have a high poly count right now, which I was running into problems last week with just rendering stuff. I did do some tests. Turns out OptiX, whatever, is like way freaking better. So yes, Hasselhoff, you were right on that. Oh, and there you are. Hey, how's it going, Hasselhoff? Welcome back to the stream. But yeah, OptiX is like a billion freaking times better. I have this shot that I'm doing at work, this CG shot, and I ended up testing it out on that between CUDA and OptiX, and OptiX, holy crap, it was like a 25-minute render with like full-blown volumetrics and everything inside of CUDA, and then it cut it down to about 4.5 minutes in OptiX. So that is pretty insane. But hey Hasselhoff, welcome into the stream. How you doing today? We are just jumping back into our render from last week, and we're gonna try to finish this guy off. I figured also we were running into some issues with render time on this, and honestly it probably has to do with our high poly count as well as our calculations that are being done inside of our render settings through our displacement. In fact, actually, if we go look at that real quick, I can see that I have displacement and bump enabled here. And this is our whole node setup that we're doing here. Wondering if I just disconnect our displacement here. Gonna keep that enabled actually for right now, and then let's go over here to our render view and just stick it into render view and see how that goes. Today's gonna be a little bit of a chill day. I don't imagine that this render is gonna be very long. We really weren't supposed to be going to a part 2 on this specific shot, but unfortunately just had so many technical issues last week that, you know, we kind of had to. But I mean, what can you do? There's nothing you can really do when you run into technical issues. You know, normally with VFX, because technical issues happen all the time, at least at the place I work. I don't know if it happens where everybody else works, but for me anyways, it happens all the time. But usually it's behind closed doors and nobody else has to see every single time something breaks, because, you know, you're just the one dealing with it yourself, and that certainly changes everything here. Last time, okay, this takes forever to load, and I'm wondering, I can start turning off like different things to see if that's the reason. Let's disable our FG, which is our little mountains that we have in the foreground. Our wall we could disable. Just try to render out this guy here, which I guess the wall includes the ground. Probably should separate those two. mean, the other option is... Okay. Well, first, we'll get into this first. Let's go to our landscape, disable our landscape. Go back to solid view. There we go. Okay, so it loads that. Now, our sky is only in 8K HDRI, so I can't imagine that being the issue. I just disabled this landscape that was using for our lighting purposes. Let's try enabling our wall again. Okay, and then yeah, we're gonna have to fix out this shader that we created here. Not really a fan of that. Which, in the meantime, I'm actually going to... I think part of the problem for me was I went through and deleted, like, all of... I deleted everything that on this computer. Like, I just deleted everything. I think this is the correct image. Yeah, that is the correct image. Okay, so enabling the FG is freezing the computer, which kind of makes sense. Our FG are these like mountains that are incredibly high resolution because I wanted to have them with quite a bit of detail. And that's probably what's causing some of the issues. Oh, yep, totally. Crashed the computer here. So I guess the problem is our FG mountains. Who knew? The FG mountains are the thing that's blowing everything up. I'm going to have to probably make them quite a bit lower res. I made them incredibly high res. That way we could get all of these like dots on the snow to come through with our displacement. But I guess that's not a good idea. So we're going to disable our FG. I'm just going to keep the rest of our environment there. I'll also, just for the sake of the fact that it actually worked when I did this, I'm going to disable the landscape that we're using for the shadow as well. Actually, no, we kind of want that in there. Let's do this. Now let's go back to render view. We could live without these mountains here. That would be somewhat annoying because I feel like that helps the composition of the shot quite a bit. Okay, so that loaded decently fast. So let's go back and enable our FG. I'm going to use a decimate to basically cut this down. Yeah, you can see how high res these are. It's like when I click on them, it just takes forever to load. Yeah, that'll do it. Let's get rid of our subdivide for our first subdivide surface. Doesn't really make it look bad. It's just... And we'll get rid of our last subdivide surface. We could just shade smooth it. I'm going to actually keep this last subdivide surface on. Everything else will be disabled. And I'll do the same for all of this. And I don't know. Personally, I kind of wanted it this a little bit further towards the camera. Okay, I'm going to save this all as a new version, by the way. So I'm just going to increment our version to be like version 2. And it's actually really funny. I think it just... Oh yeah, it did increment to version 2. Great. Let's go ahead and go back into render view here. I'm going to make some shader adjustments to the wall, and then we have to add in shaders for all of the buildings and everything else that's in our landscape as well. Okay. And I'll have to add shaders into these little mountains that we got going on here as well. Fantastic, guys. I feel like we're finally in a place that's kind of working. It's not crashing every 30 seconds, which is definitely a bonus. Let's first work on the mountainous material here for this guy. I'm going to just unwrap everything. Just make sure that we've got a good clean unwrap for our material that we already have. And just a quick reminder while we're waiting for this, go ahead and, if you guys are new here, make sure to scroll down and hit that subscribe button. I also just noticed there's some more comments in. Things are going well. I'm currently preparing our Nuke presentation. I'll be teaching some fellow uni students. Oh, congratulations, Hasselhoff. I don't know why my phone isn't updating my... It's not updating on the comments, so I apologize for missing that earlier. There we go. Now it is. And then, you're so creative. Oh, thanks, dude. Please do a Transformer animation tutorial. It'd be amazing, bro. Dude, that would be fun as heck to do an animation tutorial with Transformers. Also just realized that I am not live here, but it doesn't matter. If you guys scroll down, also, I do have a Patreon, and all the project files that we do on all of our live streams get uploaded to the Patreon. If you guys want to help support the channel out, that's the best way to do it. Also, there's some other stuff on there as well, such as surface imperfections packs and things like that, that I will be using in this specific tutorial. So, okay, now that that's unwrapped, now we can see that actually works a lot better. I'm going to make sure that I do the same to this, oh shit, accidentally subdivided it. There we go. Let's do an unwrap. I'm all butterfingers today, guys. Okay, that's much better. Let's take this guy. Let's go to top view here. Kind of wanting some snow to come in, and right now we're not seeing any snow whatsoever. You're using 3ds Max, but I watch your tutorials. Well, I mean, I think that's the great thing about just 3D in general, is that it's not really a, you know, one software rules them all. I just downloaded Katana yesterday, as well as Modo and Mari, because officially, by the way, guys, sponsored or like supported by Foundry, and they gave me some different softwares to mess around with. So I wanted to try out Mari and Modo to see how well they work with inside of a production pipeline, and then also Katana, which Katana, by the way, I already started using that as like a look dev software. It's pretty fantastic. Though I've never really used anything as a look dev before, so this is all definitely a first for me. I think I have way too much blue in here, and we're gonna have to like really clean that up. It's probably happening under my hue change here. Yeah, I used a little bit of 3ds Max, but I don't know. I've always just been a Blender user, and I don't think that'll ever change. And well, like I don't never say never, right? I feel like with a lot of this kind of stuff, it's like you use what you're comfortable with, and then obviously eventually I'm going to probably need to swap over to something else, because the way softwares work is they really come in, it's like fashion, you know, they come in, they go out, you know, and then eventually I'll find myself into a situation where I am going to need to use, you know, more than likely Unreal Engine is the next big boy on the block. But yeah, I want to make it more magical. Do you use Substance Painter? It's an amazing, right? I'm using it for texturing every single time. I actually haven't. I kind of want to, but I've never messed around with it. That's where I think Mari's going to come in, because I kind of want to do a bit of that. But no, I have not yet. Okay, so that's where all of my snow is going to be. And I'm basically using a normals with the actual normals of the object. And then actually anywhere I rotate this, I'm going to get the normal direction on. So I can find something that works a little bit more to my liking. Thinking this will do just fine. It gives us like these edges to the little mountains here. So as long as I've got that, I can then use this as a mask through my mix shader here. And my mix shader should be taking two different values. One is the snow value, and the other one is the just the mountain value. So this is the snow value right here, and then this is the mountain value right here, which is just kind of, I want to make it a little bit darker. I think that's the other thing. So let's change the value here. Yeah, one thing I hear a lot of different like 3D artists, I think 3D artists are probably the worst at this, is they always think that their software is the best, and then they become very cultish about it. And I am certainly, I certainly do that probably too much, and myself even. And that's something that I'm trying to get better at with software. I think it's better to be software agnostic and just use whatever software works best for the situation that you're in. And I find that a lot of people don't do that, specifically with 3D softwares. Reason why I don't use Blender is the complexity of nodes. Well, that's actually probably fair. I think Cinema 4D is definitely less complex with its node setup. Although I don't know that Blender, are you talking more of like the shading nodes? Because I feel like it's the same for shading nodes in most softwares, right? Like I feel like 3ds Max has just as complicated of, other than geometry nodes. Geometry nodes are really the only other type of nodes that you've got inside of Blender. Okay, so I think, what did I just do here? Cycles. Okay, that's good. I like that a little bit better. We're going to add in all of this smoke inside of our compositing. I don't want to have to deal with that inside of Blender. I feel like it's just a bit much to add in all of that smoke inside of Blender. Already in a little bit of a better place than I was last week, and it's just because I actually have it playback loading. Who knew that getting it to just load would be the solution, right? Okay, great. Now let's look at the ground here. So I think the ground is pretty flat right now because it doesn't have these kind of like overall like shading changes that are happening as well, and I kind of want to do that. So easy way to kind of configure that is, let's select our ground first of all, and let's take a look at this. So we've got our mix shader node, which is our final output of our kind of like shader setup here, and I want an overall adjustment to this shader. Actually, I'm wondering if kind of want to take our, I think Blender has one of the most comprehensive shader nodes. I've used some Redshift and Arnold, but I've always feel like it's a bit clunky. So the nodes, I'm sure you'll be quickly get the hang of it. Yeah, I will say this. I love the shader setup inside of Cycles the best. I've used Arnold and a little bit of Redshift as well. I just, I don't know. No, this isn't. This is just a preview of what we're going for. This is what I currently have, which is not quite realistic yet. But yeah, just as a FYI, this is actually from the movie or the show, and this is not. So just as an FYI, if that's confusing at all. Let's see. Okay, great. So if I disable this, kind of like darkens everything overall a little bit. Not as much as I'd like, but what we can do is we can actually create a whole new principled BSDF. And I'm just going to make this a bit darker here. And let's see, I'm going to also use a noise texture. I mean, the goal is to eventually make it look like that. So hopefully that's what we get. I'm gonna go view this now. If I use this as still trying to figure out the new okay, let's disable displacement real quick. And ideally here, what I'm trying to do is create big patches in the ground. They changed my node setup though. Let's see, let's swap that over to 2D. Okay, that's a little bit better. Trying to get that Musgrave, which now they swapped inside of the noise texture. It just makes it, I feel like, more complicated because it's this way, but I mean, hey, whatever works for them, right? So now we've got this principled BSDF here. What I'm going to do is use a mix shader between the darker version of the effect and the lighter version. So if we just connect this to the top one, and then this to the bottom one, and I use this as our FAC, should be able to go view that real quick. We will get darker kind of like patches throughout wherever the white areas are inside of our map. Now, if I change my scaling here to something like that, should be fine. Then I'm just going to add in a little bit of a mapping node so I can move this stuff around inside of, I don't think Z is the correct solution, but let's do that. So now we're going to get kind of like our lighter areas and our darker areas will be right here. Now again, if we go view that, we'll have our darker areas kind of like coming in and creating patches throughout our entire setup. And that's going to give us kind of like a little bit more of realism rather than having so much just like non-stop same detail being repetitive over throughout. We can always add in a few more little effects like that to basically help break up the entire scene here. But I think this is just a quick, easy way of doing that. I'm probably going to go, let's see, let me make sure I'm logged in. I need to go to get some action VFX assets. Which I guess I'm not signed in, so I'm glad I went off screen for this. I just don't need you guys knowing what my login is. Also, I don't need email addresses. Okay, sign in. And we can go ahead and grab some different like 2D assets that we can use with inside of our scene. So let's see. Let's use some atmosphere. If I can find some good atmosphere. We got some atmosphere and fog that we could use. Hey, when's the Nuke live stream? So I was planning on doing it this last Tuesday, but life just got in the way. I'm currently planning on doing it this coming Tuesday, but I'm not quite sure if that's going to be an issue because I may be going into work a little bit earlier this week throughout because I'm working on a project right now. But no, definitely soon. I just need to schedule it and then get it in there. It's just the process of finding time that I have to be able to do that. Life is certainly a little bit crazier when you have a job as well, and now we're working on a project. So bear with me. I'll find a time where we can do that. I'm gonna import this as image as planes here. But hey, Matthias, how you doing? Long time no see. How is everything doing for you? Okay, so now we can import this like smoke like this. And the great thing about this is because smoke is just, you know, a black and white image, all I have to do is, you know, use the white aspect of this for the alpha. So I'll just go and plug this into the alpha here. And so now we have our smoke. I'm actually going to unplug it from the base color because we can actually use our own kind of like texture of whatever color we want. And then the only thing that we really need to do now is use a color ramp. And this will allow us to control how much alpha there is on the smoke. I'm actually going to use this for base color as well because sometimes it gives us some pretty nice textures. Of course, what's the plan for the VFX shot? You may want to do in Nuke. I actually think I'm going to do a drone shot. I was planning on doing this when I was over in Georgia, but time just got away with me. But what we were planning on doing was doing the running away shot with like a drone chasing this guy and this girl. So I think that's the plan. Okay, so that can be our smoke now. And now we've got it kind of like peeking in from around the corner here. And of course, now we get to just play with adding in a little bit of smoke into like the different areas. What I love about this is using this in 3D. We can really just stick this kind of like wherever we want it. Just as long as we don't see edges, we should be fine. I think that's good. I'm going to grab this and we're just going to stick this over top of everything. That's pretty nice. And now I just want it more to the side, honestly. And then this one, we can create a whole new material. Let's duplicate this material here, 0.01, and then we can make it a little bit less transparent. You've been busy as well. Oh, that's good. Well, hey, busy's good sometimes. Busy is definitely good. I mean, I never complain about being too busy. It means I got a lot of stuff going on, which is actually better than nothing going on. I think for the smoke aspect of stuff, that looks pretty good. I really like how this kind of is flowing here. I could probably grab like a whole different, like, you know, plane to work with. Like a different texture and everything. But I think this will do for right now. Let's see. Anything from overhead? A little bit. Let's go take a look at that real quick. I like this one. Fog lingering. Go ahead and grab that real quick. Go ahead and hit the download button. Sometimes these are really nice because this is less intensive on your system. When you have everything done in like actual volumetrics, your render times are going to increase significantly so. But like just using 2D cards works perfectly fine. There's no reason to not use something like this to help build out your scene for this kind of stuff. Especially since none of, well, this is going to be a still image render, but even if it was animated, an animated shot, it's not like anybody's walking through this smoke or anything like that. Stick this all the way over here, and then let's go ahead and import image as plane again. There it is. And then the only thing to really consider for this is Now we've got like this kind of like smoke. I almost want it peeking through the other side of the wall here. So if we just, you know, do some duplications here, just rotate that, just get ourselves some nice little smoke. And then honestly, we'll do the same thing in front of the tower as well. Kind of wanting this to not cast any shadows, so I might have to make some adjustments to the settings as well. And then just one more down here, something like this. And then this one will just duplicate it. And I'm going to use a color ramp on the alpha of this. Actually might... No, let's just keep the color the same. But this one's just going to be a little bit more visible. Cool. So that's going to kind of like give us a little bit more of a blend there. The only thing I have to consider is the shadow aspect of this, because currently it is casting a shadow, which can cause issues with the rest of our scene. So let's just disable shadows, because we really don't need shadows based off these planes. I don't want any like weird clipping issues or anything like that. But as you can see, we already got rid of all of that. You've been working on some blood hits, but I'm not getting it right. I haven't done so much blood hits in Nuke. It's one guy getting shot by a shotgun, so Tarantino blood and squirts. Oh, that's super cool. So lots of blood. I think that could be fun. I just did a freelance shot where I had blood coming down somebody's wrist. And that's always fun because I was like a really good fun experiment, because making something dry, like very dry, because she was like kind of like dry, dirty kind of thing with her hand. It was like a desert shot and they needed to have blood. So like making her actual hand look now like it's wet rather than just completely dry with like something sitting on top of it was certainly a little bit challenging. I'm going to use a RGB curves here for the top bit of this texture that we're using for the smoke on the bottom here. I want it to stand out a little bit more, so I might just do a base color adjustment here. What you can see is we're kind of just bringing this up a little bit, so that way the fog on the ground is a little bit brighter. Yes, I'm trying to make a body hit, but I can't make a good blood hit like explode on the body. It's a little difficult. Sometimes it comes off as a little too powdery. And then kind of depending on the movement of the actor as well, you almost like need to do a blood simulation rather than using 2D effects. I don't know. That stuff can be decently complicated. My viewport here, if I set this to wires, this is going to screw up. I kind of want it to render, but I don't want to see like a billion planes all over the place as I'm continuing to work on my scene. So I'm just going to turn all of these to wire, which I know you guys can't see me because my head's in my way. But if you guys go to viewport display, you can change that all to wire. Yeah, blood stuff can be, can have its challenges for sure. I think the other thing is transparency. You don't want it to be too transparent. You almost want it to be dark and then let the specularities be the thing that's bright. That's the stuff that's catching the light. You need a hole in the back, but you can't figure it out. Like a hole from where the bullet is hitting, I guess. It's not exactly like you can Google that stuff, although one time I did do that. I feel like, no, I did that on a live stream. Be careful what you search for. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to take one of these planes that we have here, and then I'm just going to duplicate it past this mountain area-ish. And if I use that, I'm going to create a whole new material. And just make it really, really white. Oh, well, there's my camera, so I gotta scale that down, move this up. Move it in front of everything. Okay. And then if I take that and I plug this into our render output here. A big hole in the back from the shotgun. Yeah. I will say the best option you have is there's actual photos online to grab some like references and stuff like that. And that'll allow you to easily kind of like paint your own. I ended up painting my own for the job that I did inside of like Photoshop using like different reference images of basically steak, you know, like different meat and stuff like that, as well as blood, and then kind of just like mixing that all together to create a little bit more of what I needed. Okay, that kind of works. I might actually just want that a little bit further over here. Just as if there's like a bit of fog here, but it's not kind of it's not going to encompass the entire area. Okay, guys, I think that's the fog. So let's grab all of these different evaporation whatevers, and we're going to drag that over to our effects window because these are all effects driven. We can turn those off later if we want to, just to see what that looks like without the smoke. For right now, I think that works. Also, I'm going to take a look at adding some lights inside of our building over here. Let's add a few lights. Am I doing freelance stuff? Yeah, I work at a studio, but I also do a little bit of freelance on the side. I work on a lot of like Netflix originals and HBO Max type movies. I think right now we're working on one film that potentially is going to go to theaters. That's what everyone keeps telling me. So I'm excited about that. That'll be fun. I just actually got back from Georgia for that because I'm a VFX supervisor on that job. But yeah, I mean, I do freelance as well. I've done a bit of freelance. I like to keep myself busy, so I kind of work during the day and at night, you know? If you're not working, then why not? You know, like you could be working. Let's increase the brightness here for this window. I think the problem is that it's going to light up everything inside of this house, so let's find the appropriate brightness for what I'm trying to do. And then let's add in a cube. And just move that over. I'm just trying to get this one window. I don't want any of the other windows to have a light on. So if I just have this one window and then we delete this face, only the face, then we're going to light up this specific area. Now, maybe a little bit of leakage will happen, but that's not the worst thing in the world. I just search on it in Google. It was not a good idea. No, don't do that. I told you, don't Google that. What movie am I working on? It's a horror film for Warner Brothers called The Necklace. You're just studying software currently? What kind of software are you studying? It's very white for the this light. Might make it a little bit more yellow because it kind of makes sense to be somewhat yellow. The fact that there is no other light, so it's very bright. That's fine. I can live with that. Let's just grab this whole thing. We're gonna duplicate it and then just move it over to another room. That's fine. You needed reference? No, don't do that. Oh yeah, you did mention 3ds Max. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, no, 3ds Max, great software. The thing I like about 3ds Max is that you can it's really good for motion graphic stuff. Okay, I think that's a decent amount of spreadage for the lights on the front of this without, you know, being too much. And I also think it looks a little bit more realistic having some of these other windows have a little bit of light coming through them. It's a little bit more smoke than what, or a little bit more light than the reference image that we have, but I think we could work with that. Everything is just so small, it really doesn't matter. I'm gonna get into doing some of the wood texturing here because that's gonna help out a lot. Is Cinema 4D the go-to for motion graphics? It is. You guys go to NAB or SIGGRAPH, you'll find that out very quickly. No, it's crazy the amount of like cool little things that you can do with inside of the software that helps you. Like passing property values all the way down your stack is pretty awesome. Let's see. Yeah, good for motion graphics. I think the other thing is I mean, everybody uses it for motion graphics. Like I have a buddy that works over at Disney, and they use well, not 3ds Max, Cinema 4D specifically, I think. More for the motion graphic side of things. But 3ds Max certainly as well. I think 3ds Max has its strengths, just like Cinema 4D does. But more motion graphics is done inside of Cinema 4D, from my understanding. Let's see, let's use building material here, and we'll just first of all throw a darker texture on it, and then I'm going to go over to good old Polyhaven, and let's go to textures here. 3ds Max viewport, like Blender, is lightweight. I use it for modeling. Oh, that's cool. I think also it's one of the funny things you mentioned, the viewport. One of the biggest problems I have with other 3D softwares is how complicated it is to render crap. Let's see, let's go to, or just viewing render stuff. So we got wood peeling here. This might be the go. I'm not going to, we don't need 4K. Oh, we don't need 8K. We can do 4K. It's totally fine. Go ahead and save that, and then do studios use 3ds Max or not? It's a good question. I think 3ds Max certainly had its heyday, a little bit more so than it is now. I think less people use 3ds Max than they use other softwares. For the most part, depending on what you're trying to get into. So the short answer is yes, there are studios that still use it, but it's not as common of a software that's being used. The biggest softwares that are being used right now are Maya, Unreal Engine, and you know, Blender, actually, surprisingly so, is getting more and more usage in different studios. I still don't think Blender is a quote-unquote industry standard, but yeah, I mean, I think Maya, for the most part, is being used quite a bit more. So it's like 3ds Max and Maya are pretty close. So like, I'll be honest, if I were you, if you had an option between the two softwares, because they're both Autodesk softwares, then I'd probably learn Maya. It's used quite a bit more than other softwares are in different studios, especially if you want to work at larger studios. They just have so much infrastructure built around these softwares that they can't really just, you know, change out to be whatever they want. Am I using... Oh, I am mirroring. I'm gonna smart UV project this. Oh, well, okay. I guess Dennis answered your question also. Although I will say, more and more, I feel like Unreal Engine is like the move, and I don't like using Unreal Engine, so this is coming from a guy that doesn't like it. Don't even say that name, Maya. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I just feel like those softwares are so freaking clunky. That's my biggest problem, honestly, with them is how clunky they are. The other softwares I would probably recommend is Houdini. Houdini really is kind of like the other future of like just what everybody is using. So also just an incredibly powerful system. I'm gonna say, let's see, it's a little dark. I don't know that's how dark I want. Well, I guess it does. I guess that's pretty accurate. I kind of want it to be a little bit brighter though. So if we throw in like a curves, I think that'll help us out. Just a little bit more weathered and less like dark, because I feel like it was a little too dark. That works for me. Yeah, well, why would you do that? Shotgun wounds? They're on there, dude. You don't need to look hard. They're all there. I did warn you. I felt like I warned you. You're gonna get real stuff. It's not gonna be fake. And I mean, hey, good reference though. So like, if you got the stomach for it. In the near future, guest modeling in Blender and anything else work in Houdini is a great combo. Yeah, reference. Another good reference is just using your imagination. I think my dream, like how the 3D world is going to turn out, and honestly, it probably is going to turn out this way very, very soon, is it's going to be less about what software you're using, because USD, I think, is going to start to take over. And once USD takes over, all it is I can use whatever software I want, and I will load my USD file, do all of my work with inside of that, with however the tools are that are going to be able to do what I want, and then it will then save back into a USD file, so everybody can use USD throughout their entire pipeline. I think USD is definitely the future of 3D system, because think about it. If you could do animation, modeling, texturing, and lighting all through USD, Universal Scene Description, and everybody is seeing the exact same thing throughout, like, there is no reason to complain about like what software somebody's using, because everything is going to be the same. And I really truly do believe that is the future of how the 3D industry is going to work. Just use that for the building reference back there. And then finally this guy. Oh, that's the ground. I was like, what am I seeing? I know I'm seeing something. Honestly, it's pretty bland. I might add a little bit more variation in the wood. Maybe some unpainted weathered wood. So like we've got this guy. So we'll have like a secondary wood. Secondary. Let's do that on... Let's do that on these guys. Maybe these guys are different. So we'll do, that's building. Let's call this unpainted. We'll call it building unpainted. And then in our building unpainted, let's just drag over our materials that we've got. So I downloaded this new worn planks material. Do displacement, normals, and our roughness. And then yeah, I mean it's the same thing. So just base color. We'll plug our normals here in a second. We've got our displacement. And our roughness, and we'll need a normal map this as well. And then now we just need the vectors. Want the exact same value so we don't have to worry about scaling differences between the different pieces of wood. But yeah, now we could just use this as our vectors throughout everything. But I truly think that like the future of 3D is pretty cool, because I think like the complaining of like what software you're using and all that stuff is not going to matter as much. I mean, it will to a certain extent. Because think about it, if you want to go work at a studio, they're still going to want you to use whatever software they're using. Because they have a lot of proprietary built around like things that are going on with inside of that, and that might actually be true. But I mean, as far as like everybody else, it's like, oh, does that work with inside of our schema? I think yeah, that does. AI is taking over the digital artist fields. That's what I'm afraid of. I don't think that's entirely true. I think that it's going to certainly take over quite a bit of stuff, but I don't think it's like a doomsday, like, oh, we're all gonna die type of thing. Think about it this way. There is a good amount of traditional painting and traditional artwork that's still done that, you know, we wouldn't... like we had before, but now we still have, you know? It's not like that went away when, you know, CG came around in the early 2000s or in the 90s. It just kind of like toned back. I feel like that's going to be similar with AI. I mean, hey, I could be wrong as well, but I try to view things a little bit more optimistically. The other thing is like, these are all just tools, guys. So learn how to learn tools. Don't learn how to use a software. And maybe AI is going to take over everything, and that just means that you're going to have to learn how to use different softwares that are utilizing AI a little bit more. I think the softwares that are really afraid of AI and they don't want, you know, AI to do anything, and you know, those softwares are probably going to have a bit of a difficult time adjusting to the new regime of AI stuff, but I don't know. We'll see. That feels pretty good. That doesn't look like it's too copy-pasty of a material. It's like it's very unique throughout. So let's try to keep that going over on the side of the building over here. Let's see. Do that decently simple. This is going to be unpainted. And this is going to be painted. We already created all of our materials, so we just have to apply them. It's funny though, because I don't have the roof stuff going on the these guys over here, so I do need to like smart UV project everything though. So let's just do that real quick. I mean, an encouraging thing to note, at least with the AI stuff, is that the Sora videos that they released, which, you know, were pretty crazy, that turned out to be like quite a bit of that stuff was fixed by VFX artists, and they just didn't credit the VFX artists that did all of that work. So, just so you know, things aren't as all doom and gloom, you know, as you might think. Not yet. Maybe next year. I always think this stuff is kind of interesting because, like, with the AI stuff, it has progressed so ridiculously fast. It's honestly not even funny. Just adding a little bit more, like, of a roof to these things rather than it just being super flat. At least for the stuff that we can see really easily. All right, hey, welcome to this stream, and I'll see you on the next live. Which we do these streams, by the way, once a week, every Sunday. This week I did it a little bit early, but normally I do it at 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So just as like an FYI on that. We do have a Discord, so join the Discord if you guys are not part of the Discord already. That's where I announce when I'm going live and like what we're doing, and then you guys can share some of your artwork that you guys have created as well. But I'm planning on trying to stream this Tuesday morning, so that we usually do visual effects streams on Tuesday mornings inside of Nuke, and then we try to stream every Sunday to create a whole new CG shot. This one was a little different because we're continuing the shot from last week, but normally we try to create a whole new thing and like try to create stuff from scratch. So that's the plan. I hope to see you guys at the next stream. Well, I hope to see you at the next stream. And, I mean, I'm going to continue working on this for right now. We've got a little bit to go. Just add a few more materials to this. And then I was thinking also, I mean, let's do an unpainted on this guy. Just trying to keep some variation with this. And I'll do unpainted on this as well. No, that one should be painted. Kind of doesn't matter that it's like super messy with the UVs because, well, first of all, it's so freaking far away, but okay, I think that works. I might want one more light here. I don't know. The other thing is, if I add in a light over here, let's do this. Let's go light. Let's do a point light. And then let's just increase this intensity by quite a bit. I don't know how much I need to increase this intensity by. Just trying to see a little bit of like light come off the buildings on the inside here. And maybe the best way to do that is actually artistically drive this. So let's use a area light here. up onto the buildings. If we increase this brightness now, we'll see this kind of happening here. Should see this on the front of this building, so just increase this brightness all the way, and then yeah, now we're kind of seeing that happen. What I want to do is create a bit of a glow on the inside of this encampment. And yeah, just kind of do that, and then a little bit more yellow. Not quite as bright. But this is like the firelight on the inside of like the area. That'll also create a little bit more contrast for the entire area, because now this black is really going to stick out. And yeah, let's go ahead and just add some textures to this whole thing. So I've got our basic building material that's going to go all the way up. And then all of these crosshatched sections, let's just make those a little bit lighter. And then same with these, we're just going to make those unpainted as well. And then this thing up here, we'll make that unpainted. So now we've got ourselves a ladder that's going all the way to the top of the thing. The only thing I'm concerned about now, let's just apply all of our arrays here. And we have all these bolts, right? Don't we have bolts? Oh, no, that's all part of everything. So I'm going to select this entire elevator. We're going to use a bit of force perspective because I just feel like this isn't as tall as it should be. We're going to select everything here, and we're just going to join it into one object. Same with this. Join it into one object. And now if we go into edit mode, I'm just going to select the vertices at the very top of this elevator. All we have to do that is just select these guys. Boom. Go back to solid view here. Now the idea is that everything is going up very straight right now, but I want it to feel more forced perspective, as if it's getting smaller as it's going to the top. Because this wall is supposed to be quite a bit larger than I actually have it right now. So let's do that. We can do that by just enabling our proportional editing right now. And if I just start to scale, you'll see our proportional thing kind of come in. I'm just going to scale this guy up. And all I really want to do is scale it to this right there. Let's go to top view real quick. Need to center that a little bit better. And then we're just going to scale to the 3D cursor. And then when you do that, now it feels like it's getting quite a bit smaller as it's going up. So these are the two differences here. Which helps a little bit with the scaling of everything. I mean, we don't have to do that. We could have just built the wall to be actually larger. But, you know, we've already gotten this far with this whole thing. I didn't want to go back to making the wall bigger. I feel like that's a bit of work just to do that. Okay, let's see. There's still a little bit of repetitiveness happening on the wall. I'm not a huge fan of. I think overall, let's add in area light here. Just gonna kind of grab that, and let's just add in like a fill kind of light section here. If I scale this whole thing up and then kind of increase the brightness on this whole thing. Just kind of create like a bit of a fill light that's going to get some of this shadow. Probably need this to be way brighter. The scene is just so massive. The lights have to be so large to be seen. I don't really want the specularities to be caught, so let's see. Let's disable that on glossy. Diffuse is fine because that's just going to brighten everything up. And kind of like another little light here. So one thing to take into account here is, let's see, the location in which we want this. Let's do that, but I'm going to change the intensity of this to be quite a bit less. Just a little bit of fill light. We basically want to have come in here. And I'm going to make this a little bit more blue as well. And then the sky, let's see, our brightness is currently set to 0.2. I think we'll change this to like a 0.3-ish for the brightness of that. I'm liking that. I think that works pretty good. And then I do want to change maybe the overall hue of it. So let's go into our world settings here and then add in a hue and saturation value. I kind of want to just change my hue to be a little bit more blue. There's like the reds. Actually, another easy way to do this, I just realized this might be actually a little bit easier, is if I use a mix color and then change this value to a blue value and then just do a plus. This allows us to get kind of a little bit more of a blue color that's coming in through the sky. Do I use After Effects? I do a little bit, but I mostly do everything in Nuke for my compositing. That's mostly where I do the majority of my compositing these days. I used to use After Effects quite a bit more, but I think Nuke is just such a powerful like compositing software. Definitely recommend it to like everybody nowadays. Hey Ben, welcome into the chat. Just kind of adding in some more detail to the clouds in the sky up here. I'm gonna add this a little bit further back, I think. Now these guys, they're causing, yeah, they might actually have shadows on them. No, they don't. What is causing, that was a weird bug. Let's do this. I like that. It's feeling pretty good so far. Let's go ahead and save that. Kind of wanting some darker areas in here though. So let's see. Do a few things for that. I'm going to use a spotlight specifically. And just kind of like point that in this direction. What I'm trying to do is we will use a negative value and then kind of like suck out some of the light in like a specific area. So I'll just do that. Kind of like increase the brightness. How are you doing today, Ben? You doing good? I'm going to start beginning. So just message me. Wait. Oh, start at the beginning. So just message me if you need anything. Yeah, I got you. I actually have your messages up here now because I'm like, there's the amount of times that you send me messages during the chat asking me something, like, and I missed it. So now I'm trying to be good about it. So okay, and then let's see. I'm gonna add in a plane now. Let's do this. We're adding a plane in. I'm going to bring it backwards a little bit. And what I'm trying to do is we're going to cast a shadow over some of the area that we want to have a shadow. Doesn't really matter where this plane is positioned as long as we're not getting a hard shadow from that one light. So the other thing that we're going to do is we'll place this plane inside of our, put under our lighting. Where is our lighting at? Here it is. But we're getting a hard shadow over there. So just important to kind of keep that in mind. It's pretty good. And then now if we go ahead and add in a new material here, I like to sometimes just make these like a little bit black, and then that allows me to now the only other thing is with this material, let's go over into our object settings here, delete this. I'm going to create a volume, a principled volume node. Actually might work a little bit better. If I stick that in the volume, that'll give us a little bit more of a fade out rather than it clipping. What I'm trying to do though is increase the density on this section to be so high that we're not getting anything to pass through it. And I don't know if you can do that actually with densities. I'm about to find out though. I guess not. Just trying to have that fade out, but I guess not. Another thing we could do is yeah, let's do it this way. We'll go to add in a, what I'm trying to do is have a bit of a fall off to our square that we're adding in here. I want to have a shadow but I don't want to see hard lines of that shadow. Let's see. Scale that down a little bit. Move that over here. And it's mostly I'm trying to get that shadow on the wall back here, but I don't want to see a hard line where that shadow is. Now, what we can do potentially as well... Yeah, I think this might be an option. Let's add in a new material here. I'm going to add in a new image texture as well. We'll hit new, 1024, it should be totally fine. And we'll just call this fall off. And then hit new image. And then we're going to use this as our alpha channel. So plug that into our alpha. But since it's completely black right now, it's going to make everything completely invisible. Now, if we go over to our texture paint node, using fall off as our painting that we basically want to do, all I need to do is remove all our brushes. So we're going to remove our mask as well as our textured one. And we can paint in this with some fall off. And that's just going to create a matte. So I'll do image, save, and then let's go ahead and save this as a material. So we'll just save that as a fall off material. And then go back over to our layout. And so now we've got ourselves a plane with a black and white image for the alpha. And if we use a curve adjustment, that'll actually, I think, control the amount of fall off that we're actually having there. But yeah, now we're getting our shadow. It's just a little bit of a shadow, honestly. And then all we have to do is throw that inside of our lighting tab there, so that way it's not appearing. Go into the shader, UV map, vector math, distance set to... Oh, that's actually probably a smarter way of doing it. Ah, whatever. I guess you could do it that way as well. Good job, Hasselhoff. We're coming up with a smarter solution on how to do it. I just thought of the first thing was just adding an image texture. Okay, great. I'm going to just scale this up a little bit more now, and then gives me a little more control over the amount of shadow that's kind of like hitting the building area there. And then the only other thing I want to do is go over into our viewport display and swap this over to wire. So that way it's not too much in the way. Now with all of our area lights, I'm just going to throw those under our lighting tab. And then these planes, what are these? Oh, these are lights. I feel like these are effects lights though, technically speaking. So let's just throw all of those under effects. And then our cubes, we can throw those under effects. Really, actually, the cubes probably should go under the castle. Great. Okay. It's looking pretty decent here inside of Blender. Feeling a lot closer to what I want. Okay, great. Let's go ahead and render this out, and then we got some compositing to do. So I'm going to go ahead and just save this now, and then we'll go ahead and output this to probably OpenEXR multi-layer with our crypto objects and materials. And then let's go ahead and render this out. How you guys doing? Did you guys notice my new camera setup? I got like a nice fancy new camera setup. I don't look like I'm 150p anymore, which will be pretty nice. Pretty nice for future stuff. Oh. But today has been a nice chill day so far. I'm going to watch a movie in a bit, actually, which is why I had a stream earlier today. I'm going to watch Horizon, which I think is a Western film. I don't know. I really haven't looked into it yet, but it's in theaters right now. Camera and mic are such an improvement, dude. 100%. Like I was using here. I'll just show you guys. I still have it right here. This was the webcam that I was using before. Just janky webcam, and I did like a lot of research on different webcams and stuff like that, just trying to figure out what everybody uses. Turns out there really isn't any great webcams out there. So what I'm doing now is I'm using a Blackmagic Pocket 6K camera as my camera that's plugged into an Elgato like streaming thing, and then that goes directly into the computer and I get a video signal that way. And then as far as audio is concerned, I'm just using what is this actually? It's a Shure mic, and then that plugs into like a mixer which plugs into my computer. Yeah, definitely an improvement from like when I first started all the way back 6 months ago. That stuff was crazy. I was using a shotgun mic as my first mic because I had a shotgun mic, and it kind of just picked up everything, all my keyboard clicking and everything. And then yeah, I mean that was decently bad. And then I went to my headset that I had there just because that was pretty convenient for the setup. And then yeah, now we're on this thing. So it's all been a trial and error. Thank you guys for sticking with me as we've been going through it. But yeah. So I'm watching a movie today. It's gonna be called it's called Horizon. I think it's a Western film. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of it or not, but that's what I'm checking out today. But other than that, yeah, really just nice relaxed weekend. My brother's in town, so just hanging out with him. Might try go golfing or something like that, just to get out there. But I mean, yeah, we're right back at it tomorrow with work. We just started this new job, and it's a movie called The Necklace. It's a horror film, and those things are always fun because the more like in horror films, there's so much more visual effects that can be done in it. And I think that's always the fun stuff, and also just like the type of effects that you get to do in it is also pretty crazy. So that's the stuff I enjoy. Okay, great. Now this is rendered. I get to stop making up crap as I'm talking. I'm gonna go ahead and just save this as an EXR right now. We'll go to output. We'll create a folder called output, and I'm just gonna save our EXR render into that output folder. We'll save it as today's date, even though this is actually last week's shot. Call this version 1, and we'll go ahead and save that image. Now it is following my scene for color management. What is my color management set to right now? ACES CG. Great, I did that correct. Awesome. I'm gonna go ahead and open up Nuke. First time actually using Nuke X on live stream for my home computer. So let's hope nothing breaks. Set this. Oh, I don't have anything set up as far as like settings go. Damn it. Damn it. It's fine. I'll just use Nuke Indie. I guess not, guys. I don't want to import. How do I export my workspace settings easily? I'll have to figure that out. I should have looked into that before I did this stream. Sorry about that, guys. Just me fumbling around here. Okay, so let's go ahead and import this EXR file now, and we'll just use a shuffle node so that way we can view the combined image. This is the correct image for what we're trying to do here. I'm just gonna make sure it's tagged as ACES CG. Now there's a few things that I'm gonna want to do here. First of all, are we even using depth of field? Yes, we are. I kind of want to use a little bit more. No, I guess that's about right. Let's do a couple things. Firstly, we're just gonna throw a glow in. I think glows can be nice.
We'll probably just increase the tolerance first of all, and let's do effect only just so we can see what we're doing here. Just change the brightness here to be 0.75, and then our saturation, we'll just move that down as well. I'm going to merge this back on top of everything here. Just use a plus for that. And that's just going to add a little bit of glow on the inside of like all of this area right here. I think let's just make some adjustments to this. The tolerance here, let's just make that decently small. And then the brightness, we'll change that to, I don't know, half. And then the saturation is also about half as well. So that's going to kind of just like give like an overall glow to like pretty much everything. I'll want to change the size here. I guess about 15, 17 should be fine. Let's add another glow in. And then this tolerance, we can just set this to like a 0.5. And then of course with the brightness, let's just set that to like 0.7. That should be fine. Saturation, probably also about 0.7-ish. And then if we use effect only for that, I'm just going to move that over. Just trying to create like an overall like chromatic aberration like type effect. Just use another plus here. It's just going to kind of like add an overall kind of like schema to it. I think let's merge this back here at like a 0.4. And then let's take this, let's screen it instead of plussing it. Okay, that works for me. And I think that's pretty nice because that just adds a nice little bit of bloom to everything. It's not too excessive, just adds a nice little bit of bloom to everything. I just want to add a bit of contrast to our image here. And then let's add in, eventually we're going to add in our lens distortion here. So let's redistort this. Just increase the redistortion a bit. Not too much, but I like that. I think overall we're also going to want to add in another grade node here. Let's use a crypto matte. Oh, interesting. Just blur that a bit more. I mean, I could have probably just drew roto shape honestly for that as well. Just create a bit of a shape. Probably want to blur this quite a bit. I'll probably keep that there and then just kind of get rid of this more so for just a bit vignette-y. Have that go off a bit. Just trying to create a bit of shape here. think that might be actually a bit much. Let's bring back that down a little bit. And then another thing I like to do every now and then is just take a blur node and then blur this by like 500%. And that's going to find really just the highlights. If we do like a 300, or in this case we might want to do a 100. And then we take that, we merge it back over top of our original image. And we do a plus. And then we set this to like a really small value, 0.01. And it's just going to kind of like add an overall brightness to everything that it needs to be blown out. It's pretty sweet. Not really a fan of this number here. Might want to take a look at that. I mean, we could also just blur everything. I feel like I want to blur this, but not fully. I mean, let's just take a look at this. Let's do 0.1. That's terrible. I don't think I like that. That's good. And I want the sky to be darker. Let's see. Let's look at cryptomats real quick. If I select the wall, let's just select that as well. Didn't really want to select the fog because I kind of wanted to darken it. Oh, that's fine then. Let's select that. That. So let's close that now, and then let's use a roto on our original image here. And we're just going to roto out kind of like this whole area. Keep that as like an RGBA. And what I really want to do is go look at this roto paint area. Let's add an exposure node in. I really want this sky to be a little bit more blown out. And I wasn't able to do that in 3D, but I can do that decently simple here. So I have our roto node that we have, and I basically want to subtract the areas where the cryptomat is. So if I do a merge node here after our roto, and then I use this mask, and then I'm just going to say, invert. What that's going to give us is basically just the sky area. And now if I go back over to our exposure node, I'm just going to plug that into our merge. And I can increase the kind of like overall exposure of this sky. And when that does that, I'm going to kind of need to feather these edges a little bit more. So let's use an edge blur here. Just increase that a little bit. So that way it's just not such a hard edge. Doesn't make sense to be as hard as it is. And let's just pull back this exposure now just a little bit. You have to be careful with crunching this wall a little bit too much. Where am I doing that at? Is it through these glows? I guess a bit. And then I might add a little bit more kind of like smoke into this. Or not smoke, but I just want to add some more detailed smoke. I think we lost quite a bit of this inside of our render as it stands. So if we go over, I'm just going to drag in some of our evaporating fog that we had. Just set this as our utility texture. Hey, how are you doing? I'm doing great. How about yourself? Just trying to finish off this this render that we got going on here. I just need some more detail, I think, in this section here. Let's use this, and then we'll do it before all these color corrections are happening. How long have well, I've been working in like 3D since I was a kid, you know. First time I downloaded Blender, I was like 7. It was back in Blender 2.49, I think was the version of Blender I used. But I've been working professionally in the industry for about 6 years now, or a little bit longer actually. I'm going to keep that contrast there. I like the blue. But yeah, I mean, and then I've been doing these live streams for about 6 months now. So whichever question you had there, as far as, you know, what answer you were looking for, there's all of the answers. Let's use this guy. I'm going to actually add another just real quick trick. Boom. And then we'll set that to red. Voila. Now we've got this guy and we can scale him to wherever we need him. So that's a little bit of smoke there, and honestly we'll probably add in a little bit more. I think that's pretty nice. Let's copy this, let's paste it. Use a time offset, and we'll do a time offset of like 500, and then let's use another merge node here, even though actually we probably could do this all in the same merge node. So we'll do A2 now, and then this we'll just move him over to something like that. Kind of like filling in that valley a bit. Although actually, you might want to bring this whole thing down. I kind of want to bring it down, but maybe we do that with another one. do that like right here. Just to give a little bit of that's fine. So basically what we're doing right now is we just added a couple oh, this is messy, guys. I apologize for how messy this is. Let's just spend some time cleaning things up. I think sometimes cleaning stuff up is the funnest aspect of working in nodes. Just doing all the cleanup. It certainly is, I feel like, the most satisfying aspect of it. A's always coming in from the left side. Our masks coming in from the right side. Let's add another dot in here. Damn, that's crazy, as in like, oh, you should be better. I feel like I should be better than I am. Grab this whole thing, clean this up a little bit more. Got all these A inputs. I feel like let's delete that. So now we got that transform node. To be honest, I don't know what the proper way is to have all these A inputs go in, but I guess they are all coming in from the left side. It just doesn't look super clean. Then there's a mask for this guy. Let's see. Dot. With a crypto mat. And honestly, this goes all the way up to probably there. But let's just add this dot in and then hide the input. I don't think we really need... We all know where the crypto mat's coming from, as far as organization is concerned. Okay. So yeah, a little bit of smoke coming in from there. I think another thing we could do is, with this smoke, I just add a little grate node in, and then that way we can make this whatever color we want. Just a little bit of blue, you know? Just like a nice little blue glowy smoke. For our actual lights that are all the way back there, I feel like we could do a little bit more. Well, thank you so much. If you're new here, I try to live stream once a week. You know, we create new 3D renders every single week. This week we're finishing up a render actually from last week. So this is a Game of Thrones inspired ice wall. Yeah, so right now I'm just doing the compositing aspect of it, which actually I should save this comp. I should save this. Let's go to projects is where I need it to go. Use a postage stamp. I don't think I've ever done that. I should look into it. Just save this real quick and then I'll look into that. 0630. Postage stamp. What does a postage stamp do? Like afterwards? What does that get me? I don't... Oh, it allows me to see the crypto mat? Learn something new every day. Let's see, just looking at the reference here of things that we can do, honestly. I kind of want a bit of a green hue there. You connect it to the EXR input and then to the crypto mat input. Okay. This is connected to the EXR. And then this goes into the cryptomat. What does that get me? It reroutes, but it's cleaner than just using a null, especially if you hide the input of it. Okay. Oh, and then you hide the input here. Okay. I mean, hey, I'm not down. I mean, I'm not angry about that, but so wait, this is... Oh, I see. So I can change this to be, you know, like EXR render. Interesting. Let's see. I do think I want to have some kind of like a green glow that's happening. So let's move all of that down. Let's add in a dot. Use a grade node here as well. Kind of like move everything at this point down a little bit more. Let's do that. We'll pre-multiply that and then add in a blur node and set that to like 100. And then we'll just grade this to be a little more green. And then maybe a little darker as well. Mostly in this shadow, I'm thinking. Something like that. And honestly, this is still like, I feel like it needs to be darker. Okay. I think that works. What do you guys think? Not a huge fan of the wall still, personally. Let's do that. I think that we're blowing out the detail a bit much. That's really just to fix like one thing. I don't know, guys. I'm not a fan of this part of the wall here. I know we could probably use like a grade node with like a cryptomat. And just kind of bring down the wall a little bit. I feel like if I do that, we just bring down the wall ever so slightly. Let's just blur this also. It's not going to blow it quite out as much. So get all the way down to here. I think that's going to keep the detail a little bit more inside of our wall rather than blowing it out too much, which I think is better. I think that's certainly better overall because of that. Let's see. Let's take a look at our big old glow here. I think I'm fine with that now being a little bit more because it's not blowing this out as much. And then we're still keeping all of that detail there. It's working a lot better, guys. Certainly working a lot better. What do you guys think, though? Let's see. It's F3. Gotta get my shortcuts down. What do you guys think as far as this render goes? I think I'm actually a lot more happy with that now that I could bring that wall down. It's feeling a lot better to me. And then, yeah, these extra little smoke whiffs in here are working pretty sweet. But yeah, I think that's going to be the render. As I said, this was going to be a bit of a shorter, stream than usual. Normally, we'd be creating everything from scratch all in one stream, but last week we had some bug issues, and I mean we've been streaming today for almost 2 hours. I think it's just a little under 2 hours. Last week Ben told me was the longest stream that I've ever had. So this is not adding 2 hours on top of that would have been like a 7 hours and 40-minute long stream or something like that if we did that all last week. But yeah, I was running into some bug issues, and it turned out that it was just what actually was it? I think it was these like hills here were too high res or something like that. But yeah, I think this is going to be the render. If you guys like this render and you want to see more of this, I do live streams weekly, so I will be back next week with a whole new CG render. If you guys want to make a suggestion on what I should do, then make sure to leave a comment below. Also, join our Discord. We have a link in the description of our Discord. Share your own artwork, things that you guys are working on. I'd love to see it. We have a work in progress section where we share some of the projects that we're working on, and as you guys are doing it, and that's how we stay connected. But otherwise, I'm gonna upload all of these project files to the Patreon, so that'll be going up here in just a few minutes. But I wanted to let you guys know we do have a Patreon, and you guys get a shout out at the beginning of the live streams, as well as all of our cut down videos and weekly or early uploads of like a week on the Patreon as well. So make sure to join that if you guys want to help support the channel. Link is in the description, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for joining, and I'll see you guys later. You guys have a good one.